Hey, if you've been considering getting something from Kilohearts, click on the affiliate link below and type in Alckemy in the coupon section for 10% off your purchase. What's good, everybody? My name is Alckemy, and if this is your first time to the channel, then I'd like to give you a nice warm welcome. Consider dropping a follow and a like, and ask questions in the comment section if at any point of this tutorial you get lost, because it happens. So without further ado, this base was made in Phaseplant. You guys all know that I am a huge proponent of it just because of the sheer amount of things that you can do just inside of the box, and we'll be covering how to synthesize this base from the beginning. So I'm going to turn off all of these effects, and we'll talk about where to start. First thing that you'll do is you'll create a group, and on the analog section you're just going to use a sine with a unison detuning of 55 cents. I like to use the synthetic. It just makes it seem like the tearing aspect of it, of what you would get from a normal Reese, sounds a lot better. But if you're just playing a detuned sine on its own, it's not going to sound that great. So what you would do is grab another wavetable. For this in particular, I used what's called Ghosts. It's from a biomorphic table that I think I got on sale somewhere for Serum for like $1 or so. I don't remember. But basically, I'm using this to FM the sine wave, and then I'm using a randomizer over here to basically randomize the full amount of the wavetable. And you can do that by clicking on the gold star there. From that point on, I have another randomizer over here that is just kind of cycling through the frame over this way. So you'll see this kind of move whenever we play it. And then the other stuff here is just a noise oscillator that is at 4%. You want to keep this pretty low because otherwise it's going to just sound really washed out. The filter notch that I do here is honestly one of my favorite things about Phaseplant. With a slope of 6 and then the ability to randomize the resonance and the cutoff, you end up getting some really big sweeps and kind of like notches that open and close. And it sounds really good whenever you kind of like have this big wide amount of movement, and then you of course throw a distortion after it. The reason why this is moving is because the wavetable itself is moving, but nothing is actually being automated on this. So onto the effects, we have a 3-band EQ that's boosting the lows and the highs of this. We have a slice EQ that is kind of being randomized across all of these things. And what I almost always do is I have a boost, a notch where it's performing the same action as like the resonance. And then these are just different randomizers that are pitting against each other. So as the cutoff of the peak moves up, the cutoff of the notch will typically move down. And then the resonance on the side of the notch is kind of just moving on its own. This one is really big, especially if you want it to kind of sound like it's kind of morphing and stuff, is like you're going to throw a reverb into this. And I know what you might be thinking, like, dude, why would you do this? Especially when you know that like you're not supposed to have bass on your low end. And to kind of counteract that, we open up an instance of multipass where we make sure that the low end is in mono. So from here, I am using a high pass filter that's again being randomized, same notch filter trick, band pass that's kind of just doing its own thing, and then a disperser, chorus, and phaser. There's some compression on the end, and then as you can see over here, the mix is kind of being automated, so that way the band pass isn't totally destroying or like cutting too much of the sound out. From here, we have a comb filter, and I like to use this if you want to get more metallic sounds, but I try not to sweep the entire frequency range. I kind of just like to keep it close to where it's, I guess, like root note is, which this isn't exact, but it's close to F, and so that's kind of where that cycles around. Finally, to make this more flat, it needs to open and close in as many ways as possible, so there's just a low pass filter that is also doing some of that same automation. The multipass on this is just for kind of like an OTT, I guess. It's a really stupid name. I said kind of orc at a time, but really all you have to do is take the overachiever preset and turn off band 1 and 5, and then pull this over to 3 kilohertz, and then pull this over to 250 hertz, and then mess with the mix, and then it's pretty much as close to an OTT within Phaseplant as you can get. Although it's not going to be the same, it will give you a little bit more high end. So if I were to play this without it, and then if I were to play it with, It's pretty subtle, but I can tell the difference. So the next thing that we have is an instance of dynamics. Dynamics is great. It is just, I love this thing. It can do both upwards and downwards compression. In this case, I'm kind of just pulling this at a 2:1 ratio, and then here are my settings. So I'm pushing the gain up, and then I'm pushing the gain up again on a limiter, and that's pretty much the sound. Sounds pretty cool. Within all that stuff, you can of course add in more processing and all that, which altogether it would sound like this. But honestly, it doesn't sound that much different than the original. It's just some distortion and then some more filtering. If you get the idea of this and it doesn't sound loud enough to you, then you can go on the outside and add in your compression and like extra distortion and stuff. But if you know how to get to this point, then everything that you do after that will still be, it's pretty much the same exact process. It's just that you do it on the outside with other effects and such. So that's pretty much it for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this bass. And if you have any questions, then let me know in the comment section, or you can also find me in the Discord. Catch you all next time.